We recently had a bunch of family members come and visit us here in Thailand, and one of the first things they commented on was just how safe they felt walking around the streets here in Thailand. And I've got to be honest, since living here for nearly a year, we have felt extremely safe the whole time. But we do hear of stories from time to time about tourists getting into trouble, getting things stolen from them, getting into motorcycle accidents, and just general dangerous things of that nature. But in general, as I said, it feels a lot safer here in Thailand than it does in a lot of Western countries where we've lived and visited. But in today's video, I want to actually go through some real numbers so that we can figure out, is it actually safer here in Thailand than in places like the US, Australia, Canada, the UK, and Europe? So, without further ado, let's get into it. But before I get started, guys, we would love it if you would hit the like button and subscribe if you find this video helpful at all. Okay, so as I said, we're going to be comparing the safety of Thailand to a diverse group of countries, which includes the US, Australia, the UK, Canada, and Europe. Whether you're thinking about traveling to Thailand, living abroad, or just curious about safety in different regions, this video will give you a breakdown of crime rates, road safety, healthcare, and natural disaster risks in each of these places. So let's get right into the numbers. Often when we think about safety, we consider various factors like crime, road accidents, healthcare, and the risk of natural disasters. Today, we're going to look at how Thailand compares to all of these different countries in these different areas. And to be completely honest, the results might surprise you. So let's start with general crime and safety. Thailand is considered a safe country for tourists and expats according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. Thailand's homicide rate is about 2.8 per 100,000 people, which is quite low compared to most Western countries. Violent crime in Thailand is generally rare, and most incidences affecting tourists are related to petty crime like pickpocketing or scams. While Thailand's crime rates are lower than those in the United States and the UK, there still are risks in crowded tourist areas, particularly when it comes to scams. As an example, tuk-tuk scams and overpriced gem shops are quite common in areas like Bangkok and Phuket. In comparison, the United States has a significantly higher crime rate than Thailand, especially when it comes to violent crime. The homicide rate in the US is about 7.9 per 100,000 people, which is more than double than Thailand's. Gun violence and gang-related crimes contribute to this high figure, particularly in cities like Chicago, Baltimore, and St. Louis. However, not all of the US is high risk. Tourists visiting cities like New York, San Francisco, or LA generally won't encounter violent crime if they stick to well-known areas. Still though, property crime, including burglaries and car theft, is a serious concern in many urban areas. And we visited the US multiple times and have felt generally safe. Australia has one of the lowest crime rates of any Western country, with a homicide rate of just 1 per 100,000 people. This is much lower than the US and even Thailand. Property crime is also relatively low in Australia compared to other developed nations. While petty crimes like bag snatching can happen, particularly in tourist areas, violent crime is pretty rare in Australia. The country consistently ranks high on global safety indexes, and you're really unlikely to encounter violent crime in most parts of the country. Now, if we look at the United Kingdom, the homicide rate is much lower than the US at about 1.2 per 100,000 people. Violent crime in the UK is lower than in the US, but it is higher than in Thailand and Australia. Petty theft, especially pickpocketing in busy areas like London, is actually quite common, particularly around major tourist attractions. And I have friends from the UK who can actually vouch for this. They say that London is getting more and more dangerous. The UK also struggles with property crime, particularly in major cities. And according to the Office for National Statistics, in 2022, the property crime rate in the UK was around 3,300 incidents per 100,000 people. Higher than in Thailand, but lower than the US. While violent crime is less common, tourists should be cautious in crowded areas to avoid petty theft. which I think pretty much goes for anywhere. Canada is known for its low crime rates, especially violent crime, with a homicide rate of just 1.8 per 100,000 people. So Canada is technically safer than the US and the UK and Thailand when it comes to violent crime. Property crime, while it's still a concern, is lower than in most of these other countries. And you may be surprised that Canada is often ranked as one of the safest countries in the world, with low rates of violent crime and an excellent public safety record. However, like in any large country, certain areas may experience higher crime rates, but overall, it seems like Canada offers a very safe environment for tourists and residents alike. Okay guys, so if you're going to be traveling to Thailand in the near future and safety is one of your priorities, then you're going to want to have a good travel insurance. We've traveled with Safetywing Nomad Insurance for almost 3 years now, since the day we left Australia. And we've unfortunately had to use them a few times when we got sick while traveling both in Bali and in Mexico. But Safetywing has recently made a massive update to their Nomad insurance policy, which is a complete game changer. Safetywing Nomad Complete is designed to be your complete medical coverage while at home or abroad, including medical coverage up to $1.5 million. For example, they'll cover you for up to $250,000 for any motor vehicle accidents, as long as you're following all of the road rules. So if you're going to be driving a scooter or a car, make sure that you have the right license, you're wearing a seatbelt, or you're wearing a helmet, and whatever you do, just don't drink and drive. But aside from that, they'll also cover you for things like lost luggage, up to $500 per item. If you get sick or injured while traveling, up to $250,000. Meals and accommodation if you have a travel delay over 12 hours, and even flights back home if an emergency arises, such as, God forbid, a death in the family. And they'll also cover you while you're visiting home. So if you're traveling full-time like us and you want to go home to visit family for the Christmas holidays, they'll keep covering you for up to 30 days while you're at home. We've actually had to use the Safetywing claims process a couple of times, and it has been nothing short of amazing. We can't recommend them enough. So if you need a good travel insurance, we'll leave a link down below to Safetywing Nomad Insurance. Now, let's talk about Europe. Europe is generally very safe for tourists, especially in countries like Sweden, Norway, and Switzerland. The homicide rate across Europe does vary a lot because there are a lot of countries, but it tends to be much lower than in the US. As an example, in Germany, the homicide rate is about 0.09 per 100,000 people, while France has a rate of about 1.2 per 100,000 people, which is actually lower than Canada as well. However, in certain European countries, property crime can be an issue. Pickpocketing is a common problem in busy tourist areas of cities like Paris, Rome, and Barcelona, which I've heard from a lot of people is an issue. In Spain, for example, the property crime rate can be quite high, with tourists often targeted in crowded areas like the metro or major landmarks. Overall though, Europe offers a pretty safe experience for travelers, and many countries like Switzerland, Austria, and Norway are actually among the safest in the whole world, with very, very low crime rates. Now, onto the next issue, which is road safety. Unfortunately, Thailand has one of the highest traffic fatality rates in the world, with a death rate of 32.7 per 100,000 people. So in comparison, Australia is 5.6 per 100,000, Canada's around the same, and the UK is actually lower at 2.7 per 100,000. European countries like Germany has 3.9 per 100,000 people, which are all much lower rates of traffic fatalities. The US falls somewhere in between with a rate of 12.4 per 100,000 people. So the US is kind of in between Europe and Thailand. Thailand's high road fatality is mainly due to reckless driving, especially motorbike accidents. If you're in Thailand, I say this all the time, it's crucial to always wear a helmet and exercise caution on the roads. In contrast, road safety is far better in countries like the UK, Australia, and Canada, where traffic laws are much stricter and road conditions are much better maintained. Also, a major factor in this is that majority of people in Thailand actually ride around on motorbikes, and to be honest, a lot of locals don't actually have the correct licenses and don't wear the correct protective headwear, such as helmets, And this could actually be a major leading cause as to why road safety is so bad in Thailand. Look, if you're coming to Thailand, make sure you have the right license. Make sure you've got experience riding a motorbike before you jump on one. Don't drive drunk and wear a helmet. Healthcare is another important factor to consider when coming to Thailand. In Thailand, private healthcare is of a really high standard, especially in cities like Bangkok, and it's much more affordable than in many Western countries. However, the public healthcare system can be overcrowded and less accessible. I've actually made a video about the healthcare system here in Thailand, which you can see down below. I'll leave a link. In the US, healthcare can be incredibly expensive without insurance, and even with insurance, out-of-pocket costs can be high, extremely high. Canada, Australia, and the UK offer universal healthcare, meaning residents and citizens typically have access to healthcare at little or no cost at the point of service. The quality of care is high in all these countries, but wait times can sometimes be an issue in public healthcare systems. I know that when we've been traveling in the United States, we've definitely been cautious about having to go to a hospital or a doctor because the healthcare there honestly costs so much more than it does back home in Australia, and especially here in Thailand. You can go to a private hospital here in Thailand and pay probably 1/10 of the price of what you would pay over in the United States. So European countries also have universal healthcare systems, and countries like France, Germany, and Sweden provide excellent care, though private options are available as well. So overall, Thailand offers affordable healthcare, but the quality does vary, while countries like the US can be ridiculously expensive if you don't have the right insurance. And so just taking all of that into account, the numbers with violent crime seem to be a lot better here in Thailand. In fact, much better than the US, although still probably not as safe as Australia and Canada. It seems like Europe and the UK are almost on par with Thailand. But look, that's just some general numbers going over some of the crime rates in Thailand compared to European and Western countries. It definitely seems like, judging by those numbers, Thailand is safer than the United States in general. Apart from the road safety thing, I think that's something that you really need to think about if you're coming to Thailand. Just make sure you do the right thing and have the right license. Make sure you're not driving drunk and you're also wearing a helmet, or even just avoid riding a motorbike if possible, especially late at night. Our experience so far in Thailand has been nothing but positive. We haven't really had one single moment where we've felt unsafe. And as I said at the start of the video, everybody who has come to visit us has commented on how peaceful and safe it feels here in Thailand. And I think that's because you don't really see a big homeless population of people walking around the streets looking like zombies like you do back in Western countries. You don't see too many drug addicts or, groups of teenagers hanging out on the corner looking to get into trouble. Although there are definitely areas, especially in places like Bangkok and Phuket, where there is a lot of alcohol and a lot of partying. And if I was a solo traveler, especially a female, I would not really want to be walking around late at night, especially if I've been drinking. So I think this goes without saying, if you're traveling anywhere, just keep your wits about you. Maybe travel with a friend just to make sure that you are safe, and make sure you know the area that you're headed to. Okay guys, if you made it this far in the video, we appreciate it. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you found any value in this video, and we'll keep making more content just like this. Cheers.
Run away, run away, run away.